Hello and welcome to my channel on human design. Today I'm in a teaching kind of mood and I want to go into the incarnation crosses and really what they're all about. So when you look at your chart, you'll see that the incarnation cross is actually named there. Here's an example of my cross, and you'll see that I am the 1-3 right angle cross of laws. So what does that mean? There are 192 generic frameworks from which you can glean purpose in this life, and they're named. In my case, it is the right angle cross of the laws. So where do we get these names from? So where do we find the link between the cross and the chart? Well, if you look at the chart in the top two numbers in the circle with the dot in it and the circle with the cross in it, and there are two gates on the black side and two gates on the red side. Black is what you are identifying with, and red is what is unconscious in you, working all the time automatically. So it's four numbers there, four gates. And if we look at the wheel, we can see there are 64 gates in the wheel. So your incarnation cross contains 4 out of those 64. And that brings in the meaning of the cross. And that's a whole interpretation thing, which I won't have time to go into. But basically, this is where it comes from. So those 4 gates make up the meaning of what that incarnation cross is about. And indeed, what your purpose is about, and the way that you're here to fulfill your life by understanding this generic framework that is part of your pattern, is part of your design, just the way it is. But what I can go into at the moment is to describe a little bit more about what the incarnation cross is. And for that, we have to go to the profile. You can see I'm a 1-3 profile. So what are the profiles? The profiles are the lines in the gate. Just as you saw on the wheel, all the 64 hexagrams, they were broken down into 6 particular lines. Lines 1 to line 6. So out of those numbers, we get 12 profiles. Okay, so there are 12 profiles. Here they are, from the 1-3 all the way to the 3-6. So there are 12 profiles. Now you probably already know that. So let's take it further. The incarnation cross also looks at our geometries. There are 3 geometries, 3 ways of moving through this life. And you've got one of those geometries. So what are these 3 geometries? There are the right angle geometries. These are people here in their life on a personal destiny path. You know, it's really about them moving in their own life. And we'll go into that a bit later. There's about 64.16% of people, that's the majority, who are here for personal destiny. And then we have a very small percentage, 2.38, are what we call juxtaposition. These are fixed fate people. Nothing stops them. They are fixed. They just run through their life. They don't need the other. They're moving in their own fixed, externalizing way. It's amazing to watch. And then we have the left angles. These are people here that are here to live out transpersonal karma. So others are very needed in their life. To fulfill their life, others are needed. And out of that, we have 33.46% are left angle. So which one are you? What does this mean, Richard? Which one am I? Okay, let's start with the right angle, because that is, after all, the majority of you. So here you can see the right angle profiles, and they move from the 1-3 all the way to the 4-6. So if you're any of those profiles, you are here on a personal destiny. In a way, you're here to make karma. You know, you're here to deal with the people later, but make karma. You're here to really go out there and be what you are. So as an example, as a 1-3, I'm here to investigate with that first line. I'm here to discover things with the third line, and I'm here to learn by trial and error. That is the way that my profile operates, to go deep, but also to be mutative. If you want to know more about your particular profile, I've done videos on all of them on my website, and the links will be in the descriptions below. The other thing to say about the right angle in terms of the names of the crosses, there are 4 different right angles with the same name. The 4 are tied to the 4 quarters. We won't have to go into that now. If you want to know about the 4 quarters, I've done something on finding your purpose in a YouTube video, and there'll be a link below for that. So right angle, personal destiny, fulfilling themselves through their particular profile, and that's the way they move. That's a geometry. Now, with the juxtaposition cross names, each juxtaposition cross has its own name. There's only one of them. You know, it's a very fixed geometry that is there to externalize what it is that they know, what they see, their perspective, and nothing will stop them. The most fixed. They don't change. I know, I've tried. They don't change. They don't change. And they're not here to change. They're here to be that bridge between the right angle and the transpersonal as they move in their way. Then we come to the left angle. Now, this is a smaller proportion, but very important. The transpersonal people are here to make contact with people that will help them to fulfill their life. People are very important for the transpersonals. And as a 1-3, very self-absorbed in my own process, like all right angles, you know, where we're here in our life, self-absorbed in it. But me especially, because I have no upper trigram numbers in me. So when I see a transpersonal person, you know, connecting with another person, I'm in awe. I go, wow, you do that so well, you know, and it's important, these connections that they make. For the 5th lines, the connections in terms of the literal karmic necessity to meet certain people at certain times in their life in order for the life to be fulfilled. And the 6th line, in being the role model, in being authentic, you know, they stand out from the others as a highly mutative being. And they obviously have influence on others in that respect. And they are influenced by people that are pulled into their geometry, their movement. So that's it in a nutshell. Very quick, I know, but if you want to know more, you can go to my website under books, and there you will see under the books, the Global Incarnation Index, Incarnation Crosses. So there's all the incarnation crosses are listed there, not all the profiles, but all the snapshots of certain profiles within all of the incarnation crosses. As I said, there's 192 of them. So there's a kind of generic that is then lived out through the individual design that you are. You know, we're all unique. Please remember, we're all unique. But there is this generic cross that takes over the life when you're being correct. It just takes over. You know, here I am as a cross of laws with a Chiron cross of explanation, explaining the laws of human design to you. I had to do this. This is the fulfillment of my life. I mean, I could have been doing the same thing as a history professor or as a chemist or whatever it might be. But the laws that I'm interested in are the human design laws. And here I am doing it as an example. If you want to go further into the incarnation crosses in more detail, if you go to the audio section in my on my website, you will find an audio that says the incarnation crosses. And this is an enormous work by Ra in talking about each one of the crosses. It's about 14 hours and 17.5 minutes, something like that. So it's a good chunk of Ra going into them all. And you will learn a lot through that. So those are two really reliable sources on the Incarnation Crosses. And again, the links will be in the descriptions below. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I've done it very quickly, but I've given you a solid foundation in what the Incarnation Crosses are really all about and where they come from. If you enjoyed that, please like and share and do subscribe. And I will see you again very soon with something completely different. Bye for now.